So I fucked up earlier. I started making a video, and the last one I realized that the AC was on the whole time. So you got this weird background noise. But I'm not gonna delete it because I think I was rolling and on a good rant. So this one, wanted to talk about the SpaceX IPO and some of the other big tech IPOs. I think you're going to see a lot of big companies coming public, and I think that's a sign of the top of this market. I've been thinking there was a recession coming for a really long time, and I think a lot of people get into the market and get excited when some of these big companies come out going public, and I think now is the time to batten down the hatches. I am invested, but I am invested more in what I think is coming, which is a disaster. I think with this war in Iran, I think we are going to have oil shortages. So on one hand, I'm invested in energy. If the economy keeps doing good and they keep building all these stupid data centers, I think I'll do well from all this energy being used. Unfortunately, they're competing with the everyday person, and I think these utilities are going to increasingly view people as less optimal customers, and they're going to prioritize all these businesses wanting to build all these stupid data centers, and they're going to divert that electricity. Lake Tahoe's already fighting over access to electricity for consumers versus these big hyperscalers or big companies wanting to build all this stuff, this huge infrastructure. So I really think energy will be a good play. I'm also heavily invested in besides like precious metals, like physically owning, because I think you should have stuff outside the banking system. Honestly, I think that's a really good plan. Just have security plans for it. But if you're inside the stock market, I think a good play is like gold and silver, oil royalty companies. Essentially, like, they finance a lot of these mines. So mines can be very like up and down, boom and bust. But royalty companies, it's kind of like a lot of like Universal or some of these music producers like Sony Music. They collect royalties every time like a song plays on the radio. Someone listens to a song. They get a cut from that, or artists get a cut. What these guys do is they get a cut of every bit of gold that comes out of the ground, or whatever type of metals they're invested in, or a oil company, royalty company, whether it's natural gas or oil, they get a cut of whatever comes out of the ground. So they're a lot more resilient through downturns. They don't skyrocket as much when gas prices go up, but they're very stable. And there's some good companies for that I can talk about later. But that's the kind of stuff I'm in personally right now. I think SpaceX and all these big hyped up AI companies and stuff like that, I'm not saying all of them are bad businesses. I think SpaceX is obviously a good business. It's going public at like $1.5 trillion, maybe $2 trillion, which is crazy. All these insiders, they've been investing in these companies for like a decade privately, and that's how they get out. A lot of these companies are trying to get exit liquidity right now. I think they know what's going on. Usually these companies come public at the peak when they think they can get the most money for it. And so I think they'll go public, their shares will go for tons of money, and then I think the insiders will dump the shares onto retail. And I think there's a big dumping onto retail right now. I think another thing that's about to blow up is private equity. I think lots of things are about to blow up, but housing, commercial real estate, all this kind of stuff. But private equity is, all these companies that own like corporate debt, a lot of just junk, like a lot of stuff, I think, that preceded like 2008 housing crash. They're rolling up all this ugly stuff. So whether it's companies like SpaceX, whether it's companies owning all these garbage companies, whether it's like in equity or in their debt, that is all being pushed onto retail. When the government or when these brokerages or companies are pushing accessibility to the common investor, it's usually not because it benefits you. It's they like to keep these opportunities exclusive to really rich, privileged people until they don't want it anymore. And when they're suddenly talking about, oh, we want to open all these opportunities, we're like begging for all these opportunities for a long time. It's like, why do all these rich people get all these opportunities and access to stuff that we don't? And then suddenly they start caring about it when they don't want it anymore and they want to get out. So you'll see a lot of this stuff pushed off. Robinhood's making it easier. SoFi's making it easier to get into all these funds that are not easy to get your money back out. A lot of people are getting their money trapped in these private equity companies, BlackRock, KKR, Blue Owl, Blackstone. A lot of these assets, people are trapped. They're having record redemptions and they're capping the redemptions. These things are very illiquid and people are getting their money stuck in it. And I think that whole theme goes along with why you're starting to see all these big companies that have been private so long suddenly launching to go public. I think they're going to make a big rush. I think you're going to see maybe Anthropic, OpenAI, all this stuff. And people won't be questioning whether they actually make money. I think SpaceX makes money, but things like a lot of these AI companies, I don't think many of them are good businesses at all. I think you're going to see a big blow up of all the AI companies. So all these things, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, I think we're seeing a melt up right now in the market. I think you're seeing a market top. I'm invested in energy because I think we're going to see a short-term like price spike in prices because of this war in Iran. I think we're about to run out of oil. I think we're going to have food shortages, things like that, because of fertilizer and a lot of these different things that are affected. You have hydrogen that's affected by all this stuff. You have urea, which is a material that's used to make fertilizer. Urea to make nitrogen fertilizer. A lot of these farmers can't afford a lot of these fertilizers, so you're going to see a lower crop production. So I think short term I'm playing some of this stuff, but once oil prices hit a certain amount, I don't think they're going to keep going up, because I think what's going to do is crash the economy, and oil stocks won't be good in that circumstance because everybody's going to quit driving and traveling. So I'm in this short term energy, backed up by a lot of precious metals exposure, because I think they'll print money like crazy. But a lot of this stuff, everything's going to collapse once I feel like there's a big recession or depression, whatever there is. So once I get up to kind of what I want to make, I'm going to start pulling some money out and just sitting with cash on the sidelines, hoping to buy stuff once it really dumps. Because, I think we have some rough times ahead going into the summer. That's my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I'm doing personally. Just wanted to talk to y'all as people are getting excited about some of these companies. If you're into investing, that's not the focus of what my channel is. It's on like the common worker rising up and fighting to get good workers' rights, and just kind of about the everyday man struggles. But a lot of guys are into investing, and I think investing is one of the few ways you can actually get ahead. But don't get tricked and get your face blown off. So more to come. Thanks for listening.